Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. 2265 is the episode of the day. If you want to check out any of the research, show notes, or takeaways, head on over to stephencabral.com/2265. Today's show is all about, again, kind of talked about this yesterday, but peeling back the onion or opening the curtain onto sneaky words used for sugar on food labels. So the crazy thing about the industry, now it might be the food industry, it might be the supplement industry, but everyone is always looking to essentially be sneaky in terms of what they are putting in the label. One thing that I've always talked about with every company that I ever consulted for, and I consulted for a lot of nutritional supplement manufacturers and functional food manufacturers as well, is that they had to be honest with their customers, right? So again, when I talk about this, this show's not on Equal Life, but when I formulate for Equal Life, I say exactly what it has to state in its exact state is what we're going to put on the ingredients and other ingredients. And we're going to be completely open, honest, and transparent because I want the entire industry to be that same way. Now, of course, most companies are marketing-based companies and their goal is to fool you from around what they put in there. And so they use all sorts of fancy words. I'm going to share those words with you here today. And then I will link them up and list them, at least some of them, at 2265. All right, so let's dive in. Now, hopefully, again, you know about sugar right now, and you know that eating too much of it, processed sugar that is detrimental to your overall health because it can increase blood sugar levels, a spike in blood sugar, and it can increase inflammation and potentially even lower your immune system. Now, a lot of people, though, get almost too sugar outraged by a couple grams of sugar in things. And so today, I'm actually going to hopefully put your mind at ease. Most people will not see an increase in blood sugar, meaning significant increase in blood sugar below 8 grams of sugar in a product, if that product also contains a little bit of fat, a little bit of protein. Let me repeat that. If there's less than 8 grams of sugar in a product, and there's a little bit of carbs and a little bit of fat, there's usually no real significant rise in blood sugar. Now, you can prove this for yourself and with any product because, believe it or not, you can have a product that has 0 grams of sugar, like a just big serving of protein that will spike your, again, like if you just drink down 40 grams of whey protein, it will probably spike your blood sugar, right? And so again, but you can test this right at home with just a $20 glucometer. I have all my favorite companies in the world, all the favorite brands at stephencabral.com/resources if you're ever looking for a good company. Excuse me. So what we're really looking for, though, is processed sugar and added sugar to most products. That we don't want to see in there. But I don't want people to be afraid of having an apple, right? Or some blueberries, or even vegetables because there's a little bit of carbohydrates in there. What I want you to be the most aware is when there's added sugar to a product. Now, you'll see it with many nutritional supplement bars. You might see it with certain powders or supplements is because they're trying to make all the healthy stuff in there a little bit more palatable. So you essentially have 3 options. One is you can put in chemicals, so that's another option, but hopefully you're not choosing any chemicals. Number 2 is you put in natural fruit sugars or something like honey or maple syrup. Or the next one is to put in sugar alcohols, which may cause digestive cramping, bloating, etc. Or the fourth one is you put in a natural sugar alternative, which would be like a stevia or a lohan or one of those. And so you just get to choose. I don't love sugar alcohols because I work in a practice with a lot of digestive issues. So I'm not a huge advocate of them. And I'm obviously not an advocate of artificial sweeteners. So then you have to choose between natural sweeteners, like fruit-based, or date or honey, or I'll be talking about some of them on the show here today, or you do stevia, lohan, and others of the like. So again, that's for you to ultimately decide what you want to put in your body. But again, my goal is I always want you to keep those low, not be afraid of real fruits. And also, if you're ever worried about overall glucose and it's part of something that contains a little bit of carbs and protein and it's low on the sugar, most likely you won't get the spike. But again, you can test that for yourself. It's always the dosage is what I'm trying to get at. So now let's go over some sneaky words. Like, let's just say it doesn't say added sugar, right? Well, what else might they write on the label that's typically under the other ingredients? Let's go through some of those names. Anhydrous dextrose. Interesting word, right? So we're talking about basically water, soluble water, and dextrose, a form of sugar. A little tip for you here today is if you ever see something ending in ose, it's typically a sugar, right? So think of lactose, think of maltose, think of sucrose. They end in ose, right? So general rule, it's a form of sugar. All right, so quick tip there. Another one, you'll probably recognize obviously some of these, but other words for sugar. Brown sugar, cane crystals, cane sugar coming from sugar cane, corn sweetener, corn syrup solids, crystal dextrose, evaporated cane juice, fructose sweetener, fruit juice concentrate, high fructose corn syrup. Again, most people are familiar with that one. Honey, liquid fructose, malt syrup, maple syrup, molasses, pancake syrup, raw sugar, sugar by itself, I guess that's not too sneaky, and white sugar. So you can see all different forms. Again, sugar we know is sugar, but they may want to say it in a different way. Baker's sugar, organic cane sugar, coconut sugar. What are these? Well, these are essentially glucose, or there's forms of sucrose, and we won't get too deep on that today, lactose, and different types of sugars that you may have. Some of them I previously mentioned. But what we're looking at are the different names that at the end of the day, some are more inflammatory than others, some are more challenging in the liver, but they are being broken down to something that may spike blood sugar levels when overdone. But also, some of these are just unhealthy, like flat out not healthy. So for example, I would say that raw honey, maple syrup, molasses, raw, you could say cane sugar, not for all, but some, raw coconut sugar or maple sugar, all of those could be on the healthier side, right? But then when we're looking at corn syrup, which is typically genetically modified, or we're looking at juices or juice concentrates, well, those are going to be high in fructose, which are going to be more damaging to the liver in your overall health. So again, it's about awareness, really, really important. All right. Now, here are some, this is written by Elizabeth Brown, and I'm always happy to give credit where credit's due. So I'm going to link this up today at stephencabral.com/2265. Okay. And this podcast is not written by Elizabeth. The food list was written and done by Elizabeth. So I want to give Elizabeth credit. All right. So other names, though, for essentially processed sugars and broken down sugars that can still be put on a label are sugar and sugar alcohols. We spoke about that, but some are here. Some of the names you may not have heard about before. Some of the other ones, previous ones, sure you have, but carbitol, concentrated fruit juice, corn sweetener, diglycerides, disaccharides, evaporated cane juice, doesn't sound that harmful, right? Erythritol, again, anything that ends in "ol", that's another, so I gave you the tip on if it ends in "ose", typically a form of sugar. If it ends in "ol", O-L, it's typically a form of sugar alcohol. Not always, but typically a form of sugar alcohol. All right, the next one are all of our FODMAPs. So if you see fructo-oligosaccharides, so fructo, oligo, di, and fructo, oligo, di, mono, and polysaccharides, okay? So if you see anything ending in saccharides, it's a form of sugar. There's galactose, which we didn't mention. There is glucomine, there's hexatol, there's inversol, there's isomalt, there's maltodextrin. That's a very common one. So look at your other ingredients for maltodextrin. That can be even a sneaky way of saying they are putting in some type of cornstarch or potato starch, potentially genetically modified as well. Now, again, don't always assume the worst, but it'd be good to contact that company saying, hey, what's your maltodextrin? Are you using genetically modified products there? Malted barley, mannitol, again, another sugar alcohol there, nectars, pentose, raisin syrup, ribose rice syrup, rice malt, rice syrup solids. Again, taking the sugar out of rice and turning that into a syrup. So syrups in general are going to be sugars. Sorbitol, sorghum, succinate, xylitol, and xylose. Some of these even sugar-free necessarily, such as the xylitol. All right, so your job is to do this. You're going to look at the other ingredients and you're going to say, is there anything that ends in all? Sugar alcohol may not affect the calories, may not even be listed as an actual form of sugar, again, because it's not classified as the same type, or does it end in ose? Or is it a saccharide, or is there a syrup? If you see those things, that you know that this is more of a processed sugar, a processed carbohydrate. Now, who does this matter for? Well, it matters the most for people that have trouble regulating their blood sugar. It matters the most for those people that are trying to lose weight because their metabolism's maybe a little bit slower, or they're not as sensitive to insulin in their body. So their body is not unlocking those cells to get that stored what will be stored glycogen into the cells. And those are the people it's most important for. For others, you may want to save these food items for actually after workout or after an exercise, or we're going to need that actual glucose. I also want to share one more tip here with you today, and it's the overall view of carbohydrates in general. The goal is to get your carbohydrates from whole food forms. And this way, we don't need to be as worried about what our labels say about those carbohydrates. Because to be honest, if you're looking at your potato chips or you're looking at snack boxes or whatever they are, those are going to be processed in general. If you can see that item growing in nature for your carbohydrate, it's a much healthier source. You're going to get the fiber with it. You're going to get usually the skin of the fruit itself. You're going to get all of the nutrients that your body knows how to work with. And then, of course, whether if you're doing our detox or fat velocity weight loss system or whatever it is, that will guide you towards actually going a little bit lower carb in the beginning. I have no issue with that. But then as your body becomes more sensitive to carbohydrates, which is a good thing, meaning sensitive that you're able to actually process them properly, then you'll be able to ease them back into your diet to a greater degree. But again, if you're getting 7 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, and you're being conscious of your blood sugar, you're being conscious of trying to lose weight if that's your goal, then you're still going to be able to do that. The majority are high nutrient, low caloric foods that are vegetable based, but you can still probably get in a cup of wild blueberries a day, a cup of raspberries or cherries, or those types of things that you either add to your smoothie in whole form. Yes, they're blended, but they're in whole form. And then you're able to enjoy those as well. And then in the future, you could add in some sweet potatoes, some yams, other great things like that. And as your body, again, becomes more balanced, you'll be able to look at additional carbohydrates. But if you're sensitive to blood sugar right now and you're sensitive to gaining weight more easily, you'll just want to be careful in general with any of the overall sugars being added to individual products. But again, if it's a health-based product and it's less than 8 grams total, you're most likely going to be okay. But again, at the end of the day, this is all about bioindividuality. So all you need to do is 30 minutes after eating that meal, just take your blood sugar. See, did you get a spike above 140, a spike above 120, whatever you feel like your upper limit is. And then by 2-3 hours later, it should be back down to baseline between about 75 and 95 maximum. So the goal is always working with your bioindividuality, not being overly concerned about food. We can't make food the enemy, but also be aware that marketing companies that develop a lot of these food-based products are finding sneaky ways to add in unhealthy ingredients that substitute for sugar. And also, they might name sugar in a different way by calling it a syrup or something else. So if it is a syrup, in my opinion, make it be a honey, a date, a maple sugar that you are getting from nature that also includes all the minerals and nutrients, and just don't make it be a high amount. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm also happy to help with any of the nuances. So if you have questions, leave them right on YouTube in the comments or on Instagram, and we will be there to help. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for reviewing the podcast. I appreciate you. And of course, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share the show with anyone you think it could serve.